Hello, we're going to either do a review for those of you who have seen this before, or for some of you it might be kind of new, the rules of integers. This does not get into the details, so you might need a little more practice with this. It's kind of more intended to be an overview. So for integers, we really have three types that you have to worry about. Multiplying and dividing integers are the easiest. I know you learned how to multiply and divide after you learned how to add and subtract, but the rules for these ones are easier. All you have to do is if you're multiplying or dividing with two numbers, the answer is positive if they have the same sign. So 5 times 7 is 35. And negative 5 times negative 7 is also 35. They're both positive because they have the same sign. I'm not telling you why right now. I'm just telling you that's the rule. If one of the numbers is negative, the answer is negative. So negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. And 5 times negative 7 is also negative 35. It doesn't matter which number is negative. If one of them is negative, the answer is negative. If there are more than two numbers, count how many negative numbers there are. If the total is even, the answer is positive. And if the total is odd, the answer is negative. I think I repeat that on this page. But here's some examples. Negative 5 times 6 times negative 4 is positive 120 because there's two negatives. There's the negative 5 and there's the negative 4. However, negative 5 times 6 times 4 is negative 120 because there's only one negative. So I hope you understand the multiplying and dividing rules. Next is adding. Adding is the second easiest. There's three what I call properties. I like that word better than rule. The property is just saying, if you look at it, what's going to be true about adding integers. If they have the same sign, you keep it. So if they're both negative numbers, negative 5 and negative 9, you keep the answer negative because they were both negative. So that is negative 14. Now, if this was positive 5 and positive 9, you already know that's positive 14. Different rules than when you multiply. Property 2, if they have different signs, so if the two numbers have a different sign, even though it says adding in between them, what you're going to do is subtract the smaller number from the larger number. So 5 is smaller than 9, so I get 4. Now, they have opposite signs. So you decide which number is further from 0. Well, negative 5 is 5 spaces from 0. 9 is 9 spaces from 0. So my positive number is further from 0, so I keep my answer positive. Now, if I were to switch that, and if I would have done positive 5 and negative 9, my answer would have been negative 4 because the negative would have been further from 0. Third property, if there's more than two numbers and it's adding, you are going to add up all the negatives and then you're going to add up all the positives and then subtract. You keep the sign of whichever is further from 0. So here I have negative 5, positive 9, plus negative 14, plus 6. So my 6 is positive. My 9 is positive, my 5 is a negative 5, and my 14 is a negative 14. So I add the negative 5, the negative 14, and get negative 19. I add my 9 and my 6, and I get 15. So my negative numbers add up to more in terms of distance from 0. So they're further from 0 than the 15. That means my answer is going to end up being a negative. So my answer is a negative 4. I subtract because they have different signs, and negative 19 or 19 minus 15 gets me the 4. Okay, moving on to subtracting. Subtracting, I think, is the hardest. It's related to adding in that you just have to do one extra step. You change the problem to an adding problem, and then you can follow the adding rules. When I see subtracting, I think Sato. Subtract means add the opposite. Subtract means add the opposite. So if I start with example 1 and I have 6 minus 7, I'm going to look at that minus and I'm going to say I'm going to change this to an adding problem. Well, the 7 doesn't have a negative sign, so it's a positive 7. I'm going to add the opposite, so I'm adding a negative 7. And now I look at these two numbers and I say, well, 6 and 7 have opposite signs, so I subtract and get 1. Negative 7 is further from 0, so my answer is negative 1. Kept all the same numbers, but you can see that there's kind of a pattern here. Negative 6 minus 7 can be changed to negative 6 plus a negative 7. Now you can see that we have the same sign, so we add and we keep the sign. On the next one, you have minus a negative. These are kind of my favorite because when you have minus a negative, you can change it to plus a positive. So over here I have plus a positive 7. Now my 7 is further from 0 than my negative 6, so my answer is positive 1. I subtracted because they have opposite signs. Finally, I have 6 minus a negative 7, which is simply 6 plus 7, which is 13. If you want more practice on this, I have some work for you, or if you want to go to Khan Academy, I have a link here. When I went to Khan Academy and typed in integers, I only saw videos. I figured out you have to type in negative numbers. And then the link I got to here says adding and subtracting negative numbers. You have some good practice here. They do have videos also. Again, you can Google these and look for other teacher websites or other websites that have some of this. The thing I like about the Khan Academy is there's some hints. So it gives you some reminders of how you can do these or how you can change the problem. I hope that makes some sense to you, and best of luck. Please listen to your teacher about what to do next. I did forget one thing. I had one more slide I wanted to show for I think it's my hour 6 class. So if you're in my hour 6 class, I think you know what I'm talking about.